What you gonna do?
This is a true story. I met Omar about 40 minutes ago. He's from South London.
And she's from Birmingham.
Birmingham. So we just thought, you know what, let's sit and talk about stuff as you do, because we're both from England and, you know, we can't get back to England during quarantine.
Nah.
Anyway, but we do have something to talk about here, right? Okay, this is Omar, and he is the author of Reset. What is Reset about?
Reset is about training your mind, training your body, resetting your environment, recovery and nutrition, all in one fitness health passport to basically simplify and overcomplicate industry.
Tell me a little bit about where people are going wrong when it comes to the body and eating and wellness in general, because you have a nice journey to where you're trying to tell people the things that went wrong for you.
Yeah. A lot of people think that Reset is about me. It's actually not about me. It's about the mistakes I made to prevent other people from making the same mistakes. And that comes with, you know, the power of social media, how it kind of influences you to go one way, or how to stick to a certain diet, or what comes with, you know, the training regimes that you hear out there, joining a gym or doing all sorts of things. One size doesn't fit all. You hear that cliche all the time, but it really doesn't. So trying to find yourself within the book is kind of the key to building a routine which is actually sustainable. And that's kind of like the key word here, because normally we join a gym or we join a place and we kind of fizzle out after a couple of weeks.
Well, I get bored really quickly. Like, I'm just one of those people that get bored generally with people who don't mentally stimulate me and exercise, so I have to do different things. And I remember, you know, people always do weird diets. This is the new fad, keto. Yeah. I don't believe in diets, you know. I just think when your mental state is good, your body just naturally has more energy and it will just want to do what it wants to do and stay active. So I did do a juice diet once in my life and it lasted 1.5 days because I told you I miss chewing. Yeah. And it's because I talk a lot, right? So, I mean, when people just randomly go on a diet, shouldn't they be getting checked properly if that suits their body, their age, their fitness levels?
Absolutely. I think like it's important to firstly find what you've been doing, what's worked and what hasn't. Start to eliminate and also give yourself some time. Because that's the other thing. We don't stick to something long enough to be able to see if it works or not. And with things like gut health, it's really important to be able to kind of reset your gut and make sure that, you know, all the things you've kind of fed your system, you're able to actually allow that to process out as well. And that's the challenge we find. But I'm going to throw the question over to you.
Okay. Let's go.
When it comes down to what has worked for you, you said you did different classes.
Yoga, 23 years I've been doing yoga. Okay. That's always worked. But I was a complete sports freak. So I was the head of, you name it, hockey, tennis, badminton. I was always the head at school. Yeah. And then, you know, when you get to university, kind of sports goes down that side and nightclubbing goes up a little bit. But I would dance for hours in a club, so that would keep me busy. And then I had a TV show here where I physically had to do crazy stuff like jumping out of a plane.
I saw that. That looked good.
Oh, you saw my TV show? Oh, there you go. Okay, you can have my autograph later. All right. But yeah, and so I was always fit. But the past year, because of COVID, I have noticed I've just become lazy. Like even the gym is outside my building. I'm like, I've got to walk there.
Yeah. Has COVID brought you to the attention that you need to do more of certain things or do less of certain things?
I'm doing less yoga, which I don't like. My biggest thing is doing things with people, badminton, sports, where it's not an exercise, it's having fun together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You got to find your thing, but also sometimes, so in London, when they stopped people going to the gym, people wanted to go to the gym. When they stop people going out to run, people wanted to go out to run. So it's the complete opposite of what we're doing. That's why I asked you that question.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we're doing it in the gym, because I'm hoping that we'll do a bit of a workout after this.
She's just grabbing.
Yeah, with my clothes. But let's talk just briefly. Yeah. I just want to finish up with mental health. Yeah. I know that affected you. So what do you talk about in Preset when it comes to mental health, especially with men? Because they internalize a lot.
Absolutely. I think mental fitness requires practice. And I was told once that reading to the brain is what exercises to the body. So that was one thing when it comes to the mental side, but also doing things that makes you feel better and being able to speak about it. The stigma that men aren't allowed to talk about it, it's really important that we're able to communicate about how we're feeling, and also there's not one solution for everything. It requires practice on a daily basis.
But I do think it's a lot of vulnerability.
Yes.
Like I'm quite a tomboy, so I find it hard to be vulnerable, but I'm still a woman. With men, it must be 10 times harder.
It is, and it's also having the emotional intelligence to be able to express yourself, because that's another thing that I think with men normally, depending on what culture, what background you've been brought up to, what you've been used to, you're not always, it's not always open for you to speak about. And when you do, the common statements that come out is man up and do all this kind of stuff doesn't really come down well. But nowadays, using my platform to be able to raise awareness on that is key for other people to be able to speak about it before it gets too late.
And people can also, you've got a podcast, right?
Yes, I do. I host my own show on the radio, on Pulse 95 Radio, called The Halftime Show. And we bring on guests who discuss mental health, who discuss gut health, and how important the brain is to performance and everyday life. So anything I can do to kind of bring that to the surface and let people talk about it is always great.
And who's going to be your next guest?
There's only one person, she's from Birmingham, that's the only kind of thing. But apart from that, we'll probably bring her on hopefully soon.
Yeah, I'm going to put the strong accent on when I come on your show. Yeah. Okay, Omar, thank you so much for this. Literally, it was just an ad-lib interview. We didn't prepare anything. I only met you 40 minutes ago. This is his book. Make sure you get this book, and I look forward to seeing you on your show next.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.